Sure. Sure. All right. Well, why don't we segue into DreamHack? Let's get into Hellspawn and what he's, I guess, what he's got planned for DreamHack Open Summer.
Coin tosses.
What?
Coin tosses.
Coin toss. Oh, shit.
Oh,
Coin toss. There we go. Oh, yeah, we can actually pose that question to him now that we got him on here. But dude, when Robert was on here, Christian, he was like, oh, ask Hellspawn. Like, I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with that. So he was passing the buck to you there.
I would comment on it, though, that I think at least the guys at the office do know me as the guy who wants to think everything through, like 5 times, having all the angles, making sure that the format, everything is fair, everything is like organized in a good way, and then I'm just like worldwide recognized as the coin flip guy, and just it's also a responsibility that you have to do as a tournament organizer, and you have to do it in a proper way when it comes down to such a shitty decision.
Yeah. Gotcha. No, but this topic's meant for you to, obviously, we're going to celebrate Hellspawn, what he does with DreamHack. So why don't we talk about DreamHack Open Summer, which is next week. It's the 13th through 15th, is that right? Or 15th through 17th?
So the festival goes on 15th to the 18th, but the 18th is only during that night. So we cut the power at like 8 o'clock in the morning on the 18th. So the esport finals will be on the 17th. That's a Monday also for people wondering.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen news on the qualifiers and some of the players that will be there, particularly the Korean players. But I'll just let you take it. Like, why don't you tell us about some maybe any kind of announcements you have or any details that we haven't heard about that might be cool?
So yeah, it's the second season of the DreamHack Open concept that we launched last year, and it's similar from last year in that regard. I think that Stockholm, we showed quite a lot of good improvements, but overall that like the production was more smooth, and I think that we improved especially the first day quite a lot. I think for DreamHack Summer, what I'm most excited about is that prior DreamHack Summer has always been a really shitty tournament to follow, both on location and from home. And what I'm glad is that we're bringing the whole stage, we're bringing all the lights, we're bringing the final 8 show to DreamHack Summer for all the visitors on location. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about. That we're not gonna have only the final on stage. We're gonna have all the 7 last games, and it's gonna be a good show in the kind of quality that we like to deliver esports. So that's what I'm most excited about. Also glad that we have a really strong competitor list. It's almost stronger, if not stronger, than Stockholm. Of course, it might be a few players not showing up in the end. It might also be some good players coming that are not released if someone cancels. You never know about that. That's my shitty reality.
Oh, wow! So you might not even know some of these players. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. There's still some players up in the air. Is that what you're saying, or?
No, what I mean is that some might cancel, and then you add others.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In replacement. But we've released a full lineup, and that's also something that I like that we could do for this time, not giving them in badges. I always hate to do it in the way that, oh, why is this player missing, or like, why this player? Then you release the second badge, and they're like, these 5 guys that are not coming. Yeah, but they were already presented. So, I mean, of course, you want to maximize the kind of like news content and the publicity that you get coming into a tournament. But also DreamHack Summer is so huge because we have so many other games. So then you try to just get it all out. I'm also happy to work with the first time with Natanias. I think it's cool that we're bringing in a community streamer. We did it with Jorsar last year in Bucharest, who did a tremendous job there. And now we're bringing in Natanias, who's been doing some really great coverage, especially about WCS Challenger League. So I'm excited for that.
No, that's awesome that you've been giving community casters a chance, and I'm really excited for him too, because he's one of those guys, right? They've been plugging away, and it's awesome for him to be able to get on that stage with you guys and all those other great casters too. So, big props to you guys for doing that. Not very many organizations do that sort of thing. So, really cool. But so from the player's standpoint, I think it's going to be maybe slightly better. You know, at least from the Korean representation, I think. Are you going to change anything from a format standpoint? It's going to be the same. It's going to be pools and pools and pools, and then a bracket.
Yeah,
at the end?
it's going to be the normal system. What we have changed is that we came out to have 64 players available for each DreamHack Open for all the year.
Okay.
And then coming to Stockholm, we just realized, shit, more players want to come. So I took the decision to not expand to 128 players, because that's really hard to manage in 2 days.
Yeah.
Almost
absolutely.
impossible. We did it last Stockholm. It didn't turn out so well, I would say. So what I did, I took 96 players, and therefore I seeded 32 into the second group stage.
Oh.
For this summer, as it's a 3-day event, we go with the same format as last summer, with 3 groups. I would say that maybe that format is not a super duper good system, but I think still is what I find the best system. And what I mean with not good is that we seed players into group 1, 2, 3, and 4, which makes it in group stage 3. You would like to reseed the players in the way that you can get like the best player, the second best player, and the third best player almost in the same group, even though they perform top notch. So that
Okay.
would be like one flaw within the system, but it also makes exciting groups. I think last summer we had 3 EG players in one group, which was like a bad draw when I did it in front of Sir Scoots. He wasn't that thrilled with me at that point.
John, you're the format guy. Any comment on?
I've always liked the way that they do things. I mean, I'd have to really dive into it. I'm actually at the website now, just seeing if I mean, they always have a really cool infographic, which I'm looking at right now, so that's good. Infographics are really good.
Graphics.
Yeah. No, I've always liked the DreamHack format. I just think it's a really good way to get storylines started from the very beginning.
Yeah,
I really like it. I'm just waiting to see what happens this time with a tie in a group. We'll just see if there will be a coin flip or something. But other than that, I really don't have anything to say about it. You had mentioned that there were 7 games. Is that true?
So the way that we have done it is that we run all the group stages and we run the 8 finals, and then we go into something that we call the final 8 show or the show, where we go more like all out with the best kind of production we can, with a more of a arena style, you could say. And
Okay.
there we played the 4 quarterfinals, the 2 semifinals, and the final game, the grand final. So that's the 7 games that we have in the end that have a different feeling. It's on stage in front of a big crowd. It's with interviews. It's played in the booths. It's all those kind of things that we try to add into a good, entertaining show to maximize in the end. I think that something that I'm and the guys at DreamHack are proud of, that I think that the first game and the last game are not looking the same. Where you look at other like trade show tournaments, or maybe the ones run in studio, the first game and the last game in the tournament look the same from the outsider. But I think at the DreamHack event, actually, the first game, yeah, it's from the tournament area. It's pretty low-key with just casters. There is some filler content, but then the final game is played on a big stage, and it's in the booth, and it brings a lot of more excitement into it.
Yeah, that certainly builds the storyline as well. So there's something to be said about that.
Who's hosting again? I forget.
So it's In Control who's
Okay.
hosting. He's back from his last event, Stockholm. Also, he's going to commentate more this time. So during the first 2.5 days, he's going to act as a caster. And then we bring him back Take from most known from Home Store
right.
Cup, the organizer there. And I can also, I don't like to promise a lot of stuff like that, but he's going to do much more work this time than in Stockholm. In Stockholm, we had quite a lot of technical issues. We couldn't use him as much as we liked to, and I mean, Dennis is just natural guy talking with players and acting in front of the camera, so he just wanted to be getting more camera time. So I'm sure we're gonna cut those down times we had the first day in Stockholm into being more enjoyable. That's the aim, at least.
Okay, so more interviews, like like on the side, like on the couches or stuff like that
Yeah,
would take?
and also, I mean, DreamHack is one of a kind. I mean, it's the world's largest digital festival.
Yeah.
We have 10,000 computers there. This summer is going to be a new record for us, or we have 8,500 or 9,000, something like that.
Wow.
But connected into the LAN is more than that. I think 15,000 was the winter last record. And then we have about 20,000 visitors. So, I mean, the place is packed. There's so much esports, it's expo, it's music, it's like, you know, it's a whole festival in that regard. So I think there's a lot that can be done also with that to like interact more.
Right.
Which I still wish we can do even more. I still think that, you know, esport people that haven't been to DreamHack don't know what DreamHack is about. They just see, oh, another tournament.
I agree.
Looks the same.
Absolutely.
So
agree.
so that's something that I've been kind of key on. I hope we can bring it in more, but we haven't gone all the way that we should.
Right. No, I think that would be awesome because I've been thinking that for a long time because the DreamHack is an amazing festival more so than anything else, and I mean, it's definitely the reason I want to go is for not only the esports but everything else. You know, that's why I think it'd be really, really cool to go to. But so any details like or any new things that you think would be that you guys are going to do in this Open versus any others that you've ever done that you think is worth pointing out?
Let's see.
Or is it just going to be like, you know, winter basically?
Of
with
course,
some
we have a lot of
improvements?
stuff to fine tuning. We do have stuff in the pipeline that we are working on, but I don't think that anything that like the community in that regard will see as okay, this we haven't seen yet. But we do have some cool stuff in pipeline, but it's not really ready now for summer, I think.
So is there going to be
overall, I think is that we bring in the DreamHack Open stage to DreamHack. It sounds strange, but
yeah, gotcha. So I got a question for you. So why no confetti at the during the celebrations?
Boy.
Why no confetti during the celebrations at DreamHack?
We have had confetti at some points. I think
I remember it.
The WCS Europe final where Stefano won.
Yeah.
We think we had confetti. I think we've had it at DreamHack Winter, one of those in the big ice hockey arena. The problem, I guess, is probably because you have to clean the shit.
That's I know
horrible.
that's the problem, but
I don't know. Maybe we bring confetti this summer.
Yeah, you should, man. It makes
That would
for
be
good
cool.
pictures. Makes good for cool pictures on camera,
agree.
man. Exactly.
I agree. We have some money shots from the Ericsson Globe where we had the WCS Europe finals for sure.
Helena is
confetti
also...
was one part of that.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, and also the champagne celebration, is that still on the ticket?
Yeah, well, I
just
just love Formula One, and I mean the way that you celebrate the champion is with champagne. So I think that's a good way to do it. I think that it's nice to have a CEO that can open champagne bottles, so he can help the ones that maybe have not the same experience. So, but I think the only part is like I think I remember it was DreamHack Open Valencia last year. It felt so close that Teja would shoot himself with the cork. So that's maybe the part where I'm worried. But as long as we don't have those problems, I think it's all good. I think that some treat it better than others. I think that you have some champions. I think, for example, the way that Stefano won at WCS Europe, when he wanders out with the trophy in one hand, the French flag in the other one, he looks like a champion. He was the champion, and he acted like a champion. I think some others are maybe more in a shock, or maybe some others are just hard to cope with that everything going on. I mean, Forsheim, when he won Stockholm last year, he was just mentally blown away.
Yeah.
He couldn't imagine that he won home on his home turf. So
right. So John's supposed to actually come up with an infographic, since he loves infographics so much, on how to open champagne bottles to give to players. I think, right, John? You're supposed to be doing that.
I don't have much time now. I'm going to have someone get on it this week. But yeah, I want to make it a little infographic. I got all the DreamHack logos and colors from your graphic designer. So I'll try to put together that infographic before it's go time, and you guys can post it.
The thing that I don't really get with how to say the problem is that okay, you get the metal thing off, then they try to like squeeze the whole cork out in one go with a thumb. You need to squeeze it a little bit. You need to
wait. What are you
turn it
doing?
around.
What are you doing there?
Like this. You need to turn this hand around.
Right.
We're still on champagne, right? I zoned out.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
okay, just making sure.
It's like that. Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't it's so hard.
You do know that's getting made into a GIF, like right
Yeah.
now. by the
See,
way.
it's already done.
Then you have the infographic at least.
No, but okay. So
I think I mean some criticize it for being maybe a little bit too awkward. I think that prize ceremonies are always a little bit awkward in that regard. It's hard to get him on. I think what we just try to do is that when we have the champion crowned, when he's out, he's getting the audience, he's getting an interview, then we just go on and get the ceremony done with, so we have the same kind of flow. Otherwise, it can be ultra awkward. I
mean, I for me, it appears that it's completely just, it's just impromptu, like right there. I mean, do you guys ever talk to the players about celebration at all, or no? It's just like
to the players, it's awkward to talk to them how you're gonna celebrate a game that you haven't won, that you're soon gonna go up and play for.
Sure,
so
but
talking with the players is not what you do, but everybody else, like sponsors, or maybe like if Blizzard is on location, with the casters, with the host. I mean, our producer go through everything, and normally Grey Karn, my boss, or what to say, my head of esports at DreamHack, and me, we go through it also in a way that it's we try to rehearse it. Normally, if it's best of 5, we do it between map 1 and 2, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's a pro tip.
Yeah, I mean, the
it's
reason
good that it's spontaneous, bro, because like I say, I can talk about the CGS because it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings anymore now that it's not here. But like, they used to regularly, like, if you won a match and they didn't get the reaction shot they wanted, or players didn't look super excited, they'd say, look, can we just do the celebration again?
Okay, so it's not. I'm asking for that rehearsed version, but I just think that.
Okay, crowd.
I don't know what
you
want anymore, Chris.
You 2,000 people in the audience. We do a rerun. Of that.
Rerun. Take 2.
Cheer.
If you had CGS's money, you'd do it.
Oh God, God.
I can just give some other parts that maybe people don't really know or see. It's like, normally when we go into the final 8 show, we have a hype trailer, like what has come into it to build some kind of atmosphere, but also giving some cool pumped up part.
Right.
And normally what we try to do with it is that we come into the venue is like in a swing. So like point, the music is almost at its climax, and we're coming in with the cameras like very fast. What I normally do is that 2 seconds before they come into camera, I go up and I just scream like a big giant bear, like come on, like that. And then the people react to me, and then they come on camera, and then they know what to do.
He's a yell leader. Basically, he's a yell leader. That's what he is. Yeah. That's awesome. No, the reason
has it ever happened where you've done that and people haven't like got pumped? Like you come in and try and motivate them, and it's just like a waste of your time.
Well, see, I mean, this is a good thing to point out, because I think that everybody always talks about celebrations and all this bit, and they always put it totally on the players. Like, oh, these players, they don't have, they're just not extroverted, and they just don't, they have very calm personality, so they're just not like that. But I actually think that some of that can be alleviated by production. Whether it's, for instance, it's like in tennis, for instance, right? Like at the U.S. Open, they make them sign balls at the end of every victory, right? And then hit them into the crowd. Even just little things like that you're making them do, like that they normally wouldn't do. Some people may, but most of them don't. I mean, that just kind of makes it feel, that's something that the organizers are actually planning, and kind of creating that makes the end of matches and wins and stuff feel a little better. So
I think I think that esports, and I think that we at DreamHack can do it much more of that kind of stuff. I do remember 2009. It was like the first or the second time we were in Dream Arena Extreme. It's like a theater kind of venue. It has like 1,100 seats, and we had a Counter-Strike final coming up, and it was between who was it? It was SK Gaming from Sweden at that time, the best team, and they were facing Lemon Dogs, who was a mixed team from Fnatic players and some others. And then we had Joe Miller and we had James Too Good Harding there. So what they did, they just grabbed some like random swag, like headsets and stuff like that, and then they just build up this kind of crazy hype that I think it was the biggest I've seen so far within DreamHack at least. So I mean, they split up the crowd and was like SK Lemon Dogs, SK, and like, are you with me? Are you with me? And you know, people were just bananas. Yeah. They were like jumping all over the place. When the game was on, they were so up in the air and they were so excited. So it was like such a great crowd in that regard. But I always remember that. So
yeah, and you can, you know, you guys can help that. You can help that whole thing, right? So it'd be cool. It'd definitely be cool to see. And okay, I actually took this topic up, but I want to add it, just add it back. Kind of want to ask you, just with DreamHack, and given how well DreamHack Stockholm went, and I'm sure DreamHack Open Summer is going to be amazing too. Has WCS really affected you guys at all? Like, what are your opinions on you know, not being selected as the partner for WCS now, and having to kind of go do your own thing, right, in parallel with WCS?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated question in that regard, that we do work closely with Blizzard, and we did it prior to WS. I would say, which might sound really strange, but we are working closer with Blizzard than we have ever done at this point. So we're having regular contacts. We are involved with what Blizzard are doing, and we are really happy with our situation right now, working with Blizzard and working with StarCraft in particular. So I wouldn't say that WCS at this point where we are have hurt us at all. I think that some could argue that maybe even has helped us. Maybe people wouldn't come to our Stockholm and summer. I mean, is better start lineup than we had last year. Maybe because we have proved them ourselves, but also maybe because of how WCS has rearranged StarCraft 2 esport world. I would say though that from last year's WCS and everything going between that and to when WCS was presented, of course we had very close contact with Blizzard, and of course we would love to have a studio up and running. Of course we would love to do the WCS Europe, but I don't see that it has damaged our business, and I think that our strength was that we got permission to launch and release the World DreamHack Open. So everybody knows the dates, everybody knows the prize money, everybody knows everything about it. The only thing that has been in the shadow was that for Stockholm it was very late if we would be a tier 1 or not, and it has not been released if we're going to be within WCS here at DreamHack Summer. I hope that it will be released very soon.
How much of an impact has that had? Like tier 1, I don't know. Me as a viewer, I haven't really felt the impact of the points yet. You know what I mean? Like maybe just because they haven't presented it in a way where I felt like it was just
or because
dire.
They're pure shit. Oh, sorry.
What I think with the WCS is that because the points were released maybe 1 week prior to the event at Stockholm, and because the points, if there are points or no points for summer, I mean, we will not get any better players or worse players, no matter whatever tier we are or not. We don't get more sponsor money, but what we do get is that Blizzard recognize us as part of their WCS system. We are a part of the way that we do inflect on the ranking, which I think builds a good storyline. I think that maybe you could argue that Hero, who I think is number 1 now in the leaderboard, isn't the best player in the world. But I think though that after this weekend, where we have the WCS region finals, the one who is top on that leaderboard is the world's best player at the point when the 3 regions have collided.
Yeah, but
so I still think that what WCS brings is a better storyline overall, which is to a big extent, or maybe not a big extent, but to some extent at least, gives it easier to communicate and everything is together. And also it gives us a chance to get promoted by Blizzard in a better way when we are part of the WCS.
Yeah, I mean, the promotion standpoint, of course. I mean, if you weren't part of this WCS, like whenever the DreamHack's happening, you don't see that in StarCraft when you load up. You know what I mean? Those type of things. But the points, like you're right about the best player. I think the people at the top, it'll be obvious. Like these are the best players with the points. But I think the more interesting story are the people that are right at the cutoff, right? And I think we really won't feel the impact of points, like how important these tournaments having points are and these players going to those tournaments until
we also don't see anyone talking about it.
Yeah, no, maybe until the end of all of this, like until the end, like the grand finals, and then we see like somebody gets screwed by 10 points or 50 points when they should have gone somewhere, right?
Well, what it's about talking about the buildup of the points. That's why I'm saying the points are just dumb. They haven't
it's hard, like I said, like
so we have no way of knowing what's coming up. Like who needs how many points if they go to this event to reach the next stage? We're not getting any feeling of that.
Well, the points all have to do with the Grand Slam. I mean, just the end, right? They don't really have to do with season by season, right?
No, that's correct, and I think that I know for a fact that Blizzard run simulators of this point system, and they've been open with it. We got the point system before it was released. We could give feedback, so they've been transparent in that regard.
Yeah.
But it's sure, does it take 5,000 points? Does it take 6,000 points to get in?
Yeah.
Nobody knows, and I mean, not even Blizzard probably knows, because it depends on how the players are performing. But I mean, coming into Season 3, for example, and having that last Tier 2, Tier 1 event, which this guy needs to get to this point in this season, he needs to get to this tournament, he needs to win that. Otherwise, he's out. So, I mean, in the end, it's going to be freaking exciting to see who's going to Blizzard.
Yeah, it will be exciting.
It'll be exciting for the people that can understand the concept, like, and have followed it. And that's the problem I think we got with WCS at the moment. Like, I just feel it's like a very overcomplicated way of doing something that should be reasonably simple, and I'm not too sure how I feel about the whole point system, especially without there being like arbitrary amounts like at the start that everyone can aspire to. It's like you say, Blizzard probably don't even know themselves.
Well, it's supposed to be a ranking, right?
How it's going to pan out. Yeah. Look, what WCS should have been is it should have been the LCS for StarCraft, and as it stands, it isn't really like that. It's just like really.
I mean, what does that mean? It's the LCS. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's like it's supposed to be the LCS for the start. What does that mean?
Well, the LoL League, right? Like, if you look at how LCS is set up, it's very easy to follow. It's on every week. We all know where the rankings are and the power rankings, and we all know who's going to go where and who's going to go to the Worlds, and all of this stuff. It's very easy to follow, and it's like a very traditional sports model. And WCS isn't really like that. I don't know how I feel about the current system. I
mean, they're completely different models. If you have a team, basically more of a team type of league model, and then you have what we have, which is an individual sport type of this type of structure model, whatever you want to call it. So it's different.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at your point. Someone just called me a lol fag.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm not laughing at
He's. What's funny is people know Richard. That is like hilarious, actually. Because
that's it. I'm done. First it was the two guys. Now this.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Get those dirty riot money. But I would say this though. By the way, with the GSL system, which they built this on, more or less, is that. There is, I like it in a broadcaster way, that you get a lot of good games all the time, so it's good for broadcasting. But it's a very hard system in the way that you're almost playing the tournament backwards. So you're starting with the best players, and they play in the group stage. Then they get knocked down, where they have to, in that season 1, try to qualify for season 2. So it's not that you first qualify for season 1, then play Season 1, then qualify for Season 2, and play Season 2.
Yeah.
You play Season 1, you qualify for Season 2 in Season 1, which makes it fucking hard to understand. And it's like easy to get knocked out, but it's easy to get in also. So it's like, I don't know. It is strange, and it was strange when MVP won double GSLs, and then suddenly was Code B, which was like the shithole where nobody could mention.
It's very ephemeral. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just
So in that regard, I don't really like the system in the kind of way that tried to explain it.
Yeah.
The point system I do like in the way that they've like. I mean, the one who wins this Grand Slam or region, one of the three, should be at BlizzCon, I think, because he made such a big achievement, and then maybe you can grind against some others who came second if you go to some DreamHacks or MLGs or so on and so forth. So maybe what I would have liked is that maybe the point system should have been based to the regions or something like that more. I don't know. It's like feels almost like MLG 2011, where like I think In Control is the best example. He came fourth in the first tournament, which made him be able to get points in all of the rest of MLG, so he was qualified high in the end, even though he just made one good tournament in the start and not in the end. So in some part, WSS is also like you can grind out a lot of points if you do good in the first season.
Well, I mean, so John, like, is this point system supposed to be kind of like a ranking system? Because it really is something that's completely different than the whole Premier League and Challenger League.
It's not even like a ranking system. I don't even know. Like,
it is definitely some different, like, conflicting models here.
No, it's simply. I'm not quite sure what the right word for it would be, but it's a point system based on raw points. And when I say by raw points, it's simply points you earn for attending and finishing at a certain level with an event. So really, you get more points for the more events that you attend. Obviously, they give different points for different tiers, and then of course that's just very subjective too. I'm not quite sure how they're determining that, but it's not really a ranking system. It's simply points that you earn, and then just collecting points over time, and those points carry on, and then they're added up, and that's apparently the person that's the best in the world.
Yeah.
So if two people are on the same path, and they're finishing at the same level at each of these events, and they go to every event, and then one person gets sick and doesn't end up going to that to one event, and the other person does, and he finishes, middle of the pack or whatever, he gains points for that event. He's now instantly 3 or 4 spots ahead of the person that was sick, regardless of the fact that they may have been on an even path the entire time. It's simply based on raw points.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that case.
I think the biggest problem with that is you could have somebody actually go to events, go to fewer events, win them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you could have one guy just a steady Eddie. He turns up to everything, that might be yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And because he gets to the last 16 every time, he could actually finish above the guy who's had a medal round his neck.
That's why it's not a ranking, and people call it a ranking, and it's not. It's not a ranking system at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's
agree.
fun. Well, okay, go ahead.
This is the world ranking, and it's like period on that part. They run the league. It's authorized by. It's run by the publisher. They have the partners, which they say, okay, you're a part of the tournament. You get tier 1. You get tier 2. All the other like normal leagues or stuff that are not part of WCS, they are not on a similar way standard. It would be different though if you have all the MLGs, all the DreamHacks, ESWCs, WCGs, etc., 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 not being a part of WCS. But I mean, how many major tournaments have we seen this year since release of Heart of the Swarm?
Yeah.
They are included.
I mean, I kind of agree. I think I'm...
No, it's good that they're included, but that becomes then part of the problem, because you can have a lot of skill at a tier 2 or whatever event, and you could have more skill in that than you would at a tier 1 event, and because it's just based on the points that you collect, it's just to me the problem is it's just not relative. It's not relative to the number of events that you attend, the skill level at which the event you're attending has, and then the finish at which you finish.
Well,
it's just not relative. It's just simply based on, I finished in 16th, I earned some number that they pulled out of a hat, 35 points or whatever it may be. I finished 8th in this event and I earned 50 or whatever it may be. It's just gaining points.
How is it in golf and tennis?
It's the same.
If you go into a tournament, that tournament is ranked depending, like, okay, we have 60% of top 100, then this gives full points, and if it's only 20% of top 100, then it's give other points.
The reason it's different.
It's a little weird.
I don't disagree that is a similar situation, except that those players are oftentimes always going to all of the events. This is a situation in which we're a worldwide thing with people, worldwide industry with a lot of players that can't afford to go to all of these events. So in my solution, it was just based on relativity. You had to attend X number of events, but after you attended X number of events, your points were relative. So if I attended 5 events and you attended 10, but at the 5 events I attended, I was in the top 10 at every single one, and you were in the middle 10, like in between 10th and 20th. Because you attended 10 events, you would have more points than me and thus be ranked higher. But the 5 events that I attended, I was much better at it than you. But because it's only strictly based on the points that you earn, you're apparently a better player than me. That was the problem I was seeing, because we're so fragmented as an industry that it's very difficult to get everyone to come to every event. So I had just devised a ranking system that was relative to the number of events that you came to the tier level, and so on.
Yeah, but even with the relative thing, I mean, it's really hard for us because, like you said, there's like very little tournaments. So, I mean, you can't have a guy who just like wins one tournament, all of a sudden he gets like 100%. You know what I mean? Just because he's won his only tournaments he's gone to, right? He's going to be above anybody else, right? So
he's the best.
Well, what if we go and win a Lone Star Clash tournament?
It's problematic, though.
You know what I mean?
It's problematic comparing it to golf for starters, because the way golf works,
in golf,
they do it by ranked average.
No. So ranking is a different concept than the FedEx Cup at the end.
Yeah.
So the FedEx Cup is like the points that we're talking about for our Grand Slam at the end, or Grand Finals at the end, right? In BlizzCon. So the FedEx, you can think of that like that. FedEx Cup points are equivalent to WCS points. But they have a separate ranking system that's based upon, the kind of a little bit like what you're talking about, just like each, or both of you guys are talking about, which is like each tournament has this kind of allocation for ranking points, and it might have to do with how many of the top 100 are in it and not whatnot. That's how golf works. Tennis is different. Tennis is all based on the previous year, actually. You have to defend your points. So you actually get points, right, for all the tournaments you won or however you did, and then the next year it's actually relative to the previous year. You have to defend your points, which is like weird as fuck in my opinion. But yeah, so those are kind of different. The golf, so those aren't great models either for us, I don't think.
Well, it's not so much that. It's like the golf one makes sense, because what they're saying in golf is, with the ranking average, the way they weight it, is they're saying consistency is what they value. That's what they value as a good golfer. That is, if you finish 3rd at every event, you're of a better value than someone who finishes 1st, but then sometimes doesn't place at all. Right? That's what they believe, and that's fair enough. That's what they push in the golf system. I'm not too sure that's what we want in the esports system, though, where what we're actually saying is steady mediocrity makes for a better player. And, I know when I'm saying last 8 of a StarCraft event, I'm not saying you are mediocre if you make it through to the 8. But, we want champions, don't we? I mean, and I don't think this current system really embraces that, like, where the guys who win things are lauded as being the best, which before WCS you would look at what a guy won in a year and you would go, he's won 5 major events, that dude's the boss. Under this system, it's going to be, this guy finished top 8 at all these events and made a shitload of points, didn't win any, but look where he is in the tables. Tables don't lie. I
kind of disagree with that, and I mean it might be different for other games. But for StarCraft 2, I feel like it's different, because StarCraft 2, there's 3 races. Everybody plays different races, and a lot of the results has a lot to do with matchups, how matchups end up. And there's a little bit of degree in that in some other things like tennis, because you can have a guy who serves and volleys versus a guy who plays the baseline, or there's surfaces and that sort of thing. But for the most part, you know, you're playing the same thing. You know what I mean? You're playing the same race, I guess, if you're comparing it to StarCraft 2. So StarCraft 2 has like this very up and down type of feel to it. It's actually really hard, like MVP, to win so many of those GSLs. You know, that's why it's so amazing that he's won so many, and even ST, right, to some regard. So I think
that's exactly why it should be relative.
Yeah, I think having it span a long time, and not, you know, like somebody who does want to go to every tournament and post, you know, solid results should be rewarded for that, honestly. So it's a tough system, because you know, in a way we say that this is the single storyline, it all funnels into the end, which it kind of does with the point systems. But we actually have all these crazy other storylines that are going on, like with the Challenger League and the Premier League and the regions and all that stuff, right? So that's where it gets kind of a little conflicting in some ways. But I think in the end, I think it will reward the best players. The best players will be there at the end, and I guess that's all that matters, right?
I think, though, that something that is kind of funny in some kind of strange way is that 2012, I think most people felt that there were too many major StarCraft 2 tournaments overall. To some point, it was almost silly.
Yeah.
So, and then Blizzard released WCS, which just added a bunch of another many tournaments. Didn't really help that much, I would say. This year it's like totally the opposite way. That
I know.
Now we have almost no tournaments, and the WCS don't bring any more really tournaments. I would say that for me, the Korean Season 1 final and this region final, I mean, it's hard almost to keep them separated, I would say. So, I don't know. I still think that I love that Blizzard is taking together a ranking system, world rank. I think that in StarCraft, in this short time frame, they were the only ones to do it. Of course, maybe it would be even better if, like, through all esports, like all the big organizations went together to get, like, you know, the Street Fighter ranking, the CS:GO ranking, the League of Legends ranking, and everything was built on the same kind of system, so it was like easy to understand esports as a general. But I think we are very far away from that, so I like still that we have a world ranking, because that's always good if it's properly done. And I think this one is, even if the system might have some flaws, I think overall it should and it will be treated as the world ranking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's for sure. I need to get me one of those guys, Richard. Man, where's my beer guy? Where's my beer guy?
That's the assistant editor of CADRED. That's the shit I have him doing. He brings me beer.
Jesus, man, interns, man. That's the way, man. Anybody want to be an intern at CADRED? Okay.
We won't pay you.
Does he live in your closet?
Dude, there's a house like I'm outside of this. It's not like day 9 where it's
but that doesn't mean you don't put him in your closet.
No, all right. No,
he's an intern.
Oh God.
I do get accused of grooming younger guys, obviously. You know. But,
oh man.
People say that. That's true.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. So last topic we got. So I kind of wanted to bring up Rakaka because I never get a chance to see you talk about it much. So got two basically guys who are the editors at these sites, these news sites, and obviously very different approaches to how to display the news. So I kind of wanted to have you guys, obviously all of us talk about just the differences. I mean, I think Rakaka goes more for just no better way to really describe it other than like it's more of a tabloid approach, right? Just I think more so from that standpoint, not like crazy tabloids, but just I think it lots of pictures, headlines, that sort of thing, and obviously CADRED's not quite like that. So talk to me about how you think you guys differentiate yourselves from all the other news sites.
I know that we have gone on for a long time, but I think maybe I should just sum up very fast, like my esport career and how I got into Rakaka. And
oh my god!
The way I see Rakaka.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it really fast, super fast. So
faster than Slasher would, please.
I was literally about to say that. Better be faster than Slasher, bro.
I'm not gonna slasher it. So
Okay.
I read PC Gamer in Sweden in like 97 or 98. It was about Clan 9 versus Death Row, this epic game. So like where I see esports started. Then I wanted to play on my own, so I actually got into the internet at like 98 playing Quake 2. I was one of the best Quake 2 players in Modem. I went into Counter-Strike, played in several top 10 clans in Sweden. Then I moved on to World of Warcraft after the military service, which I also played in a fairly high level war, kind of high ranked shaman in EU. So Rakaka was founded in 2006. I joined in 2008 to become their World of Warcraft writer. I only wrote for World of Warcraft, and then after maybe 6 months or so, where I had like followed all of the other news, because I followed all esports since the beginning. All the major tournaments, I saw like NIP versus X3 live. I saw the first CPL where Intox won in Warcraft 3. I saw all the Fatality versus Lakerman games and so on and so forth. So it was easy for me to start to write about other scenes, but in the beginning I only did World of Warcraft. And I think that the foundation of Rakaka was that esports in 2006 was on a bad road. It wasn't so much big going on, it was always declining, like the big years were 2003, 2004, 2005. Also, the news sites were really bad at that time. It was Godfrag, it was, I think SK Gaming started to become big. There were some other sites, but all of them were kind of uninteresting the way that Grey Karn and Ponderosa, the founders of Rakaka, saw it. So what they tried to do was build a site that wouldn't be a news site, it would be a news site of the stuff that no one else covered. So if Fragbite or other Swedish website covering Counter-Strike wrote a news item, Rakaka normally wouldn't write that news item. Or maybe we had to write it within 10 minutes of where Fragbite released a news item. And everything went from the beginning was that I think when Rakaka did a major break on like NIP would splitting up. They were one of the best teams in 2006. I think they were ranked the best team. And they were splitting up to SK and Fnatic and to Complexity. And Rakaka broke that news item, Greycam broke it, before actually the players knew them themselves. So Robban, who was the team leader at that point, actually commentated on Rakaka saying, like, you stupid shit, why are you bringing up this? This is false. And then 3 weeks later, all that happened. So that was one of the major, like, big ones. And I think that Rakaka also, from the beginning, treated itself for being a bigger site than it was, which made it bigger than it were, or became that big.
Right.
And also I think that, like, the way that we did it was that, or they did it, was that, for example, they broke the story with CPL, I think it was CPL, who was sponsored by Intel and Nvidia. They used AMD computers at the event. I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Which was, like, major all over.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of those kind of things where I think Rakaka took a place where, like, okay, let's go to SK Gaming. Oh, shit, they've lost a logo. They have lost a sponsor. Let's make a big news item about this, because no one else spins around the web looking for stuff that no one else sees.
Yeah.
And trying to dig in those kind of stuff. I mean, we got a lot of tips, we got a lot of those kind of stuff. So I think what Rakaka tried to be was more looking at esports and the industry in a general perspective. Didn't like write, this guy won this tournament, this guy won this tournament, this guy won this tournament. More like, okay, Sweden's best player Naneva is going now to play in the GSL. Or like Jindro is making it again, getting to the semi-final of GSL. Or like, now it's toxic time to once again take a Quake 4 title. Like building stars and putting like faces on people that you write about. Was more of a raw kind of style than maybe other traditional esports.
Well, I mean, in some ways, that's kind of why. I mean, I think when I generalize it was kind of tabloid because you're creating celebrity, right? In a way with these people, or is that a fair way to assess it?
That's one of the goals to build. I mean, we are a Swedish site, so we build Swedish stars primarily. Of course, we recognize the big ones, like for example, I know Fatality most likely been mentioned 1 million times on our site, even though he hasn't really played any games since 2006.
Right. Any plans for English section?
So I joined in 2008. We had Vivo, who is the coder and who was the editor-in-chief for a while. He actually joined Rakaka to make Rakaka World. So I think when I went to my first WCG 2009, the goal was that we gathered a lot of like Rakaka World stuff with different players and personalities to have in our launch campaign. And then it was delayed almost 1 year, I think. And then it was launched, and I think that Vivo wasn't as keen on the project anymore. And I think it was hard to bring in the soul, because I think there is a lot of soul within Rakaka, which Greg Card and Ponderosa created, was I copied and also maybe kept living within the site, and some other of our writers, of course. And I think that was missing when we went to a new staff which wasn't as connected and hadn't worked with the Rakaka brand and the way of thinking, because you cannot bring in any writer to Rakaka. You cannot bring in any kind of like normal mentality, because it's a way of thinking, I would say.
Okay.
It's like to understand how to put those words in the topic, how to present it, how to put it from an angle which makes it interesting. It's like takes time to learn.
It's definitely an art. Yeah.
That, and I mean, most of the stuff that the big ones, like I don't know, the problems that SK and Fnatic had with Gux and with Delpam when they were like breaking contracts, joining back and forth, and all of this. Then you really need to be on fire. You really need to know how to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And you need to work like maybe 5 guys worked on the same stuff, and let's throw it in this direction. No, this direction. No, this direction. We maybe write 500 different kind of topics for that news item, because we know that the topic and the picture is maybe 90% of the news value out of that.
I see.
Because that's what people are gonna see, and that's what's like clickable, and that's also making it interesting in that regard. So, and also about it's that we get a tweet, you make the news, you make the blog, you get the comment, you get that video, you get that podcast. You add so many layers into one news item, which makes the news in that regard. You create news, maybe.
I see. Richard, you got any questions for him?
Oh, no questions. Like, just me and Hellspawn Lord, as he likes to call himself. We've had numerous discussions about this in the past. Like, it's something we're definitely not always going to see eye to eye on. I fucking hate Rakaka. I think it's a piece of shit. I mean, like, I can't express enough. Like, there are some things.
Shit.
There are some things like I like about it, like the things they profess to be for, like wanting to cover stories free from censorship and that kind of stuff, which they have done. Definitely, they've achieved that goal. Although equally, they've ignored other stories in the past when it's been linked to Swedish people that everyone else has known about, and they've certainly not reported on it for reasons based around, we don't want to upset our Swedish people that are going to provide us with content, like we've been talking about earlier. But I think in terms of what it's irrelevant anyway. In terms of what it does, though, just embracing the lowest common denominator. Like, to call it tabloid is an insult to tabloids. Like, the tabloids.
God,
no, I'm not even saying it in a bad way.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot about tabloid journalism that is quite good. The way they write headlines, the way they abridge news stories. I've got a lot of respect for tabloid journalism. Certainly at Cadred, we get accused of being tabloid, which I find hilarious because they mean it in the derogatory context. Because we do things like play on words in the headlines. We use certain language, and there's nothing wrong with tabloids. Again, there's a book here. This is my office, Taking the Tabloids by Fritz Spiegel. All wannabe journalists should definitely go and read that, and it talks about the history of tabloid journalism and what it means. What Rakaka does is it takes a fact that's usually unverified, or a log of a conversation that's usually being used without the person's permission or knowledge that the conversation was going to get used. And they post it, and it's not particularly well written. I mean, let's look at the layers of news that he was just talking about. I'll just go to their front page and just click on a story. I mean, what, 3 paragraphs? And then, you know, and it's not a proponent of great journalism. I know for a fact, based on my own experiences, and this is when you're all going to go, oh, he's just butthurt. I've been on the front page of Rakaka, apparently as a copyright thief, which I'm absolutely not. And that story was published because one of the writers at Rakaka was very friendly with a female photographer. We'd used one of her pictures, and even though we'd credited where the picture was from, she wanted a click-through link. Nasty us. So Rakaka put me on the front page with a picture of a thief, a little cartoon of a thief with a Cadred logo on his top, very highbrow, that what they do at Rakaka, carrying stolen photographs, you see. So the idea that Rakaka's is a great like news website and like what it brings to esports, it doesn't bring anything. It's like you could achieve similar, if not better, quality with a blog. And to give you an idea, there's been several small community-run blogs like Esports Detectives, Gotta Chaff, which is a Welsh word. You know, these were websites that pretty much already, despite being run by people with no training and no kind of understanding or appreciation of journalism, and certainly no audience, they were already operating at an equal, if not higher standard than Rakaka. So for me, I've never understood why Rakaka's lauded as much as it is. I can't get on board with it.
Right, I'm gonna Reddit is as popular it is.
Well, I'm gonna let me let Hellspawn respond to that. What do you say to that, Hellspawn? I mean, that's obviously strong words, which actually I wasn't expecting.
I'm so surprised. I mean, me and Richard, we haven't been on the best terms. I think this is all-time high, and I mean, I really. I really respect Richard's work, but it's maybe not something that I really go. I don't read Cadre that often, and the long articles that Richard writes are not maybe in my cup of tea, if I can put it like that. So I think that it's just two ways of seeing it. That Rakaka's way is very very raw. It's like very I would still say that Rakaka has never gone out and said that Cadreds are thieves. What Rakaka has done...
No, you actually used my name when you said that.
No,
I just
what
you used the Cadred logo, but it was my name, so...
Yeah. But I think that what Rakaka has done has always reported that this writer claims in her blog that Cadred or that Richard Lewis are stealing pictures. And I mean, there were a big, let's see, Richard Lewis over the years has really got enemies, like HLTV, you could say. Yeah. You could say Fragbite with those pictures, and maybe Richard has not always been like the most cooperative or like helpful guy.
Oh, fuck, man, if you were trying to say, has there been examples of me being an asshole in esports? Of course there has. Recent. Like, Jesus, nuts. Like, of course there is, yeah, you know, it's like, it's very difficult to be a fucking nice guy all the time, right? So you know, I'm not.
I mean, I know all about it, but I think the normal way that people look at Rakaka is that people fucking love Rakaka. Not to gloat myself or anything about that.
No, they do
love Rakaka.
Sure, that's true.
But you love Rakaka as long as they don't write about you or your friends or your organization or your sponsors.
That's true.
But when we write about that, you hate Rakaka. It's the worst shit ever, and like. Just so mean, and why didn't they ask us, and why did they take this angle on it? But as long as it's not about me, and like, I mean, I think Fnatic loves our site because we've written so much shit about SK, and I think SK loves our site because we have written so much shit about Fnatic. But when you're caught in fire, it's fucking shit to be there because, I mean, at some points it's been very harsh, it's been very cruel, almost in the way that like. Take no prisoners, we have no mercy in that way. And for me, I think it's a way that I still feel something that should be respected, or I respect myself. Also in the same way is that I think that the ones within esports feels that the Rakaka guys and the writers and the site always has been like, okay, we know this about it, but you told me to shut my mouth and not write about it. We always keep that, and I think that's like a codex of our journalism, or like Richard likes to talk about.
Well, no, but
we have always linked, we have always sourced, we have always like never misquoted. But it's like, okay, we know that Hellspawn is gonna join Fnatic. He's broken his contract. Yeah. Asking SK, what do you think about this? Only bullshit, totally uninteresting. Asking Fnatic about it, bullshitting, totally interesting. So why even ask?
Yeah,
or writing a long article. And I think we have had some really good blogs and articles over the years at Rakaka, but that's not our key, like our main feature on the site. In the same way that, yeah, we have a lot of rumors. We have based a lot of things on rumors. I still would say that has been like 1% of all the news items. I think we have written like 16,000 news items, or maybe even 20,000 news items, which is more than almost any other esports site. Also, I would say that
the thing. Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry,
I also think that we have been wrong with some rumors, but I don't recall any rumor where, when we knew about it and when we got the information, or that it was delayed information, at that point it was actually correct. Then it turned out days later that it wasn't going that, especially with like player transfers and stuff like that, which is really hard because in one minute suddenly people just changed and turned the back on some dude that were in, and 1 minute later he's out. But I don't think that we have ever like, okay, let's build up some nasty shit, just type what can we come up with. We have never acted like that.
No, I think the thing is though, it's like, right, you've there's definitely some ethical lines that you guys have always kind of like been happy to stray across. Like, prime example, if someone comes to you with a log, like a conversation log, and you know it's not it's completely out of context, you've got no way of verifying it, like say for example an IRC log, and it's just a copy paste in a text file, you know you've got an ethical responsibility not to run that. And I would defy anyone, like scour Cadred, you won't find a news story predicated on a log like that. Whereas if you were to scour Rakaka, you'll find plenty of them. And you've gone over an ethical boundary there by using it, because it's not even something that someone has said to you. It's, you know, it's secondhand. You know, so I mean that you've got a responsibility to verify it. Rakaka doesn't seem to take that responsibility seriously. You know, and that for me is an issue with Rakaka, definitely. But I mean, like, ultimately, I guess there's this mythology around the site, like what you've just talked about, you know, like how it's done all these great things, like leaked all these great scoops. And definitely, I remember the high points of Rakaka. I remember when you've written about stuff and I thought, fair play, don't particularly like the way they do it, but the balls on them to do it. You know, especially in an industry this small. And anyone who's willing to embrace fuck you, I admire and respect. But that's less and less true these days. Like, I just feel Rakaka now really just embodies kind of lazy writing, you know, like very secondhand story, secondhand information. Like, if I was like, and you know, I get asked this a lot, like, you know, what type of journalism should I do? I want to be an esports journalist. Where should I start? My top 10 sites, like Rakaka wouldn't feature in there. I wouldn't recommend anyone goes to Rakaka to learn how to write.
But
like,
it's kind
learn
of
what journalism is.
I mean, I hate to bring Slasher into this, but I mean, Slasher's been on here, and we've talked to Slasher, right? And Slasher, and you've had the same discussion with Slasher in a way, you know, about, you know, Slasher's he wants to report like the latest breaking player news and stuff like that. And
Rakaka's below Slasher though. It takes unfounded fact, unfounded rumors, and you know, the one thing that I definitely agree with is absolutely right. What is the point in talking to the organizations when these days you're just going to get a slew of bullshit back? It's the worst part about what I do. Like, can you verify this? And they go, oh well, we don't know what's happening, so we're going to give you some generic bullshit statement, and that is annoying as fuck. And I would love to be able to go to these guys, fuck you, I'm just going to put out what I think's going on, and with a big rumor next to it. I'd love to do that. That'd be great. But you know, I just feel like it's just it just isn't really achieving what it could, and equally what it does do is so like it's just an anathema to like good writing. Like, I'm not saying everyone needs to put out a Pulitzer style 3,000-word article, but like, you know, I can link you to a lot of websites now that like report stories in the kind of way Rakaka aspires to do, and they do it better. They'll never get a fraction of the respect. They'll never get a fraction of the traffic. And it's, you know, it's just a good thing that the Rakaka World thing flopped, because it's the kind of journalism I'm glad is self-contained to the Swedish language.
Like, so I mean, that's obviously a subjective view, right? I mean, for entertainment is a subjective thing.
Maybe it is subjective,
right?
and maybe it's elitist. But the reality is, I feel that, you know, like it's like you're saying about building celebrity. Like, do we really, like, should we really be doing that? Like, it's different to report on a story where someone's earned something by merit, and to promote them, and people read that and go, wow, this guy's good, I'm going to respect him and follow him, and I'm going to like keep abreast of what he does. But if you just build someone, like you said, you know, Fatality's on the fucking front page again. Is that guy still relevant to esports? Because if he is, let me know. Like, is he really? He's on the front page, and it's like you said, he's done 10,000 stories on the guy. Like, he stopped being relevant ages ago.
But isn't it the viewers? I mean, it's the viewers' fault for doing this, Richard.
Yes, it is. It's the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the Jersey Shore mentality. I mean, people are willing to watch it. You know what? Somebody's going to make a show about it again.
And if people are willing to watch it, it's like this debate sometimes I get with people as to what is good. You know, I mean, what is good entertainment or good shows or good, you know, that sort of thing. And it's like a lot of those discussions end up disregarding what's popular as being a metric for what's good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's so.
But I think that some points of what Richard is saying is completely true, and I'm gonna try to. I mean,
yeah, sure.
Rakaka is never really communicating on Rakaka's behalf, so to some extent it's strange that maybe even talking about it in that way. But
yeah.
I would say it like this: is that Rakaka is almost only Grey Card and Ponderosa together. And when Ponderosa joined DreamHack in 2008, some parts of it changed, but actually he was working with Rakaka half time when working at DreamHack, and it didn't conflict, and it was very keen in the contract that I can write any kind of bullshit I want about DreamHack, and the site in particular can that. So, for example, Ponderosa stopped to write about DreamHack stuff and let other editors write about it. But he would never suggest, put this on the site about DreamHack or remove this. It's always been like that. It's very important. And then Grey Carno is the other founder and also the main contributor together with Ponderosa. When he joined in 2009, he stepped down as editor-in-chief, and I think that from that point the site has gone downwards. And I would say that when I stepped up almost at that same time was also when I was getting involved with DreamHack. But I would say what I tried to do was get the site going from less being edgy to going more mainstream, because we hit so much more numbers during 2009, 2010, 2011. I went to almost all international tournaments there were, and I would, not to be like that, but I think that still at that point there were not so many being able to providing quality interviews. There were more than 5 minutes that actually went into more than like, what's your result, who do you like, what's your sponsors, or something like that. Going more into the depth, and also going like on the general esport part. I think that at that point in 2009 there were kind of few people who could do 1 minute a Counter-Strike interview, the next a Warcraft 3, the next a StarCraft, the next a Quake, the next a whatever. And also without any preparation, just going on with it. And that's what we provided at that time. Also, we started very early to stream with a high quality kind of stream. We were just in TV long before Twitch in like 2008, and we brought a lot of good streams. We were live on DreamHack doing a lot of good coverage where DreamHack didn't know how to do coverage to provide a good stream, but Rakaka actually did. And then when I joined DreamHack in 2011, at that point our editor-in-chief Iceman had quit, our editor-in-chief Vivo had quit, also Slope, who has been a main contributor with like vlogs and also live coverage, graduated from film school in Hollywood and started to work. So I think that from about 2011 and during Wall 2012 and 2013, DreamHack has lost its course and its soul in many ways, and the site has during 2013 been, I would say, almost dead. So what you see week by week coming up, some news items, some stuff are good. I would say this Fatality Spec is one of the better parts compared to a lot of others. Maybe this Nadiva apologize also and does a poodle is a good one, but and I think actually we got a lot of clicks on who was it who did a tomato, this StarCraft player when it's qualified Tails. That was one of those kind of things where we actually went like worldwide with getting clicks from all over the place. But it's not like it was in 2011 where I saw that or 2010 where I saw that actually that Rakaka had a major or a big impact on esports in the international aspect.
Right.
So it's not the same, and what Richard says is true in that regard. That what's really now the last couple of years is not close to what was before. And
yeah, I mean, that's the thing as well.
It's DreamHack's fault because they hired Ponderosa, they hired Greycorn, and they hired me. So of course, I mean, it's a loss for Rakaka.
Yeah,
and that's also like the problem with these
hiring
sports,
all the entire staff. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, also seeing like DJ Weed, he left journalism, he went to Twitch now, and we have Carmack, who was an excellent journalist back in the days, is running IEM now, and we have so many more of them. I mean, Foreign and Richard Lewis are maybe one of the few that's still around, that has been around and writing news for a decade. The rest has more or less passed on and being either leaving or getting in the organizer part of esports. Because, I mean, I followed a lot of these journalist debates. Some part of me wanted to be in it, a big part didn't want to be in it. But one part is that everybody thinks that esports journalists is in particular so hard. No, it's journalists on a big scale, worldwide. All newspapers, all news channels, everything with journalism is having a rough time now with internet and how it has changed, and Twitter and Reddit and so on. But I still think that today, Greycorn, Ponderosa, or me could leave DreamHack. We could work 100% on Rakaka, and we could make a living, and we could make the world's best esports site. Still sure of it.
Do you know what the thing is?
All right, last point, Richard. We gotta wrap up.
Just saying, I've been pretty harsh, like you know, in my views, but you know me, I'll never fucking hold back on that stuff. And you know, maybe I wouldn't mind that so much, man. Like I feel there's definitely there's room for what Rakaka was briefly. You know what it actually was, like perhaps at its peak when even I could look at it and say, yeah, it achieves something. But like what it is right now, you probably is right. It is kind of a shell. It's not really relevant. You know, that's a shame. There definitely needs to be different types of reporting and alternative types of reporting. I just don't think some of the ethical stuff ever sat easy with me with Rakaka. It sailed a little bit too close to the wind for me. That's why it's always going to be on the shit list. That and the fact I was in one of the stories, you know, and I'm biased like that. So, but it's never personal,
But, all right, guys. Well, why don't we wrap the show? It's been a great show. It's been a long show, but kind of warned all of you guys that it was probably going to be long given the topics. And But Christian or Hellspawn, it's awesome having you on, buddy.
Yep.
Thanks. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I wish I could have said yes much earlier and hope to come back.
We'll definitely do it again soon.
Soon enough.
Exactly.
But I'll see
I
felt
like I was
DreamHack
stealing
anyway.
Robert's show because he has been on this show quite a lot recently, hasn't he?
So we've had Robert on twice officially, and then he popped on last week in place for.
He's like when a guest doesn't turn up, we just bring Robert on drunk.
Yeah.
That's like our new policy.
Hey,
he's my Chewie.
Hey, Chris, I have, I can give it 10 more minutes if we want to do Q&A, if anyone wants to stick around. I know there was a question about IC at MLG, and I know a couple other people do have some questions. If
ask away, guys. Yeah, it was mostly John had to run here. So
yeah.
Maybe one or two, maybe a couple questions. And then we'll...
Well, the one question that was asked twice that people want to know about was what are our thoughts on Infinite Crisis being at MLG? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Oh, you guys take this, man.
I don't know anything really about the game. I don't mind to have like promotion titles or so on. We saw League of Legends being it in the beginning. We saw World of Tanks, and I mean, League of Legends is the biggest esport game ever, or biggest game, and I think World of Tanks is doing a pretty good job at this point. So I don't see any problems having these promotion titles, but I think that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a game that isn't paying to be on the MLG?
Yeah, you know what? That was one of the questions too. Is there any game anymore that isn't besides Quake, which will be at DreamHack Winter, which is great.
No, but I mean, it's serious. It's like, again, it ties into what I was talking about earlier, and that is that, we're caught in the mainstream less. Like, I think game companies, if they want an esports presence, and that's increasing all the time. The company I work for, Heaven Media, we get approached a lot by people who are developing games, and they ask, will you act as consultants to help us, create a game that's esports ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are. I think they're realizing now that there's a big value in having that kind of longevity that comes with an esports community, that presence, that reach through things like Twitch, and games now are being pushed on these professional tours. It's no different how it was towards the end of CPL, I gotta say, where you had some fucking you had some terrible games. Yeah. Everyone knew they weren't even fucking Yeah, they weren't even. Yeah, but I mean, shitty in the sense like they weren't even fucking esports. Everyone was sat around like, how does this work?
Well, I mean, until the main revenue or a large percent of the revenue comes from developers for these tournament organizers, that's just going to happen. You can't completely blame MLG for taking X tens of thousands or whatever developers are paying them, because I
can say it like this from an organizer point of view, that I thought that the streaming revenues or broadcast revenues would like kick in earlier than publisher revenues. I would say it's the opposite way at this moment.
Yeah.
But still, at DreamHack is like we choose the esport titles, and we actually don't have like in that regard as an official tournament just because they pay. Yeah, we have LCS there. That's Riot's tournament. We have World of Tanks. They have a booth there running their European finals. We have here what's it called? Here's a New Earth with S2 having an expo there. But still, I mean, DreamHack audience fucking loves League of Legends. They fucking love Heroes of New Earth, and they love Dota 2 also. So
you totally circumnavigated World of Tanks there. That was brilliant. They love not World of Tanks.
World of Tanks is the first time, so I don't know. We have not had that before at DreamHack. But I think that it's gonna be filled, that expo. I'm not questioning that at all. I think World of Tanks is gonna be a good hit at DreamHack also. So.
You get to choose all these.
We don't have that kind of way. We don't have publishers paying us to run tournaments. That's not.
Well, that's really because you have an alternate. You have a completely alternate business model and revenue channel. I mean, you're a festival before anything, right? So that's how it's different. Like MLG is a tournament. Like it's a tournament circuit more than it's anything else, right? So that's where it differs. So that's why I think that.
Still. I think that MLG, if you look at all the games they've had over all the years, I wouldn't question them just going where money are.
No, but I can't blame him for us seeing it happen every so often, right? Where it just pops up and sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes you're giving a chance to some game that maybe all of us are wrong about, right? So, yeah. So, anyways, all right. One more question.
Yeah, we didn't answer the question. We didn't answer the question, Craig.
I thought we did.
About Infinite Crisis. No, we totally didn't. Infinite Crisis at MLG. What do we think about it? We didn't answer that.
I know.
Just saying.
I don't know anything about the game, so I can't even comment on it.
Well, I mean, yeah, come on. Someone must know something about the game. We're esports guys, right? We care about this stuff.
From what I understand, because we have some guys that have been playing it, that they've been pretty excited about it, was that it's isn't like a superheroes MOBA in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about
That's
it.
Exactly what
I just can't
Yeah.
talk. I mean, I think it's a good model. I mean,
They actually really
superheroes
like it, and Infinite Crisis IC, we've actually reached out to them at IGL and trying to get a little bit more involved with them because they do very much want to get into the esports space, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, people see the value behind that, and so they've looked to make the PvP like really strong esports wise. So I mean, I think it's an interesting experiment. We'll see what happens. I mean, if they
do you want to know why the Infinite Crisis at MLG is getting so much heat and people are saying it's like a joke and they hate it? You know why that's happening, right? Because now League of Legends fans finally have a MOBA to look down on, right? And that's true, and that's exactly why it's happening. That's not even a joke. There's no punchline involved with that. That's exactly what's happening. Like Dota 2 can always take that moral high ground, like Dota 2 enthusiasts, like the most arrogant MOBA fans you're gonna come across. Their game's the best. All of the games suck. Blah blah blah. Yeah, Heroes of Newerth, right? Was like, well, we were kind of around first, and we were meant to be a clone of Dota, but we had the idea and the wherewithal to put it into a separate client. And actually, most HON fans, and there's even some Dota fans, will agree that mechanically it performs better. It's actually the best MOBA in terms of team fights and how it's built. Nobody gets on board with League of Legends, but it just so happens to be the most popular esports title, not even MOBA title, esports title. So everyone has to kind of begrudgingly pay lip service to LoL. But now Infinite Crisis is in this crowded MOBA space, so we all get to shit on it before we've even had a chance to look at it and see how competitive it is. And I just think that's like really kind of it's endemic of the way esports going, right? Like it's not so much about the title you enjoy, it's about the title you get to shit on. It's like football teams. Like, how much do we really take out of supporting a football team without the rivalry of a local team that we can hate? It's like supporting my team's cool, watching them fail's even better. And I think that's what the Infinite Crisis hates about. Like,
has there really been that much hate on it? Given that your cam is frozen, by the way, Richard. But has there been that much hate on it? I mean, I feel like I just feel like not many people know that much about the game, and like there's not that many opinions on it. Cause
I think also maybe that's because the clueless of StarCraft and League of Legends, like you don't know anything, and then like Infinite Crisis is what MLG are going for.
Like, exactly.
Well, I still would have to add this, that I hate the esport as a buzzword within gaming development. It's like, we have single player, we have co-op, we have multiplayers, new graphic, new guns, and it's esports. It's like,
it's marketing, man. It's marketing.
No, it's not esports. If the community like it and it's a good competitive game, then it can become esports. It's not esports. It's like that fucking buzzword, which is like, let's throw some esports money into the development, like 5% esport of this game.
Yeah,
that I don't like.
Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. That's for sure. All right, is that enough of an answer, Richard?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna let you off now. Oh, you put me on the nice picture where I was young and thin.
Your cam's
only like 12 months ago.
Your cam's still not fully loaded.
That's not my cam. I'm glad. Anyway, I look better like that. That's how I want to be remembered when I die. That like pseudo Tom Hardy thing I've got going on in that picture.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't say it. Someone else did.
All right, time for one more question, John, or no?
Sure. I got time.
All right. Well, why don't you pick it? I haven't.
Me, I don't see any yet. Somebody has started answering a question. Start asking a question. Somebody's pondering.
Pondering. Oh man.
Any other questions? Does anyone have anything they want to ask? Maybe not.
I'm all out, man. I'm all out of questions.
That's it. They just want us to
covered.
fuck off. We're done.
Yeah.
Just go.
All right, let's
go
get-
to
They
bed,
won't
guys.
leave. They just want to see if one last thing happens on stream before they leave.
Exactly.
Like, I want this to be over with, but I don't want to miss anything.
I think
think
that these 300 people just fell asleep because it was too long. Now,
Oh my god, this coming from the guy that's on the 4-hour good show. Good show.
Okay,
man. My
here's one
God.
I'm
question,
as
but
boring there as I'm here, I guess.
Yeah.
There's one question, but they didn't include you or I, Chris. I'm not quite sure. They said
I
who
know
would
one.
win a drinking contest, Richard or Christian? And they didn't include. I mean, because you're Asian, they assume that you're a lightweight.
Well, they're
Yeah.
right.
But it's not about,
They're
it's not
right.
being Oriental. It's not about being Oriental, John.
It's true. It's
Oh
not
my
being Oriental.
fucking heck.
Americans can't drink. Fact.
Oh my
I'm
god.
just gonna put it
Oh,
out
come
there.
on now, Richard.
Europeans can't. Right,
Richard's
it
such a
should be Hellspawn
Damn
Lord
Brits.
because he's Scandinavian and they're Vikings, so he should be
Agreed.
able to win.
But
But it-
I agree with what you say, but I think that you would win, though, Richard.
Only because I've got a reputation for being a drunk. What I think's brilliant is the next question is, could we get a one-on-one cage fight between Richard and Hellspawn? Almost happened at ESWC.
Yep. Almost happened,
That's-
man.
It's actually true.
I would
It's
say the
actually
good
true.
part is that I don't fight, so that's why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like going up and pushing Gandhi. It was like it made me feel so horrible. So, but yeah,
Nice.
it's another one for when we retire from esports. That story, I think, because I was a real asshole. So.
Right. All right, let's do shoutouts. Get this puppy over with before Richard. Richard pulls out another classic. Duke Mark is all over it. Do you see what Duke Mark wrote?
Yeah, I just want to say it's a joke because I didn't realize the term was offensive. I didn't, honestly. That makes me sound so old, but I didn't realize. Like, I thought Oriental was still acceptable. I'm totally sorry. I'm going to
He's
apologize
a
on
writer.
air.
See, these are our journalists,
Oh,
guys.
fuck,
Oh my
man,
God.
that is so bad as well. It's like I said to you. It's like being my granddad and realizing certain terms aren't acceptable anymore, and society's changing around me, and I hate it. So,
Oh my
so
God.
I'm real sorry about that.
It's all good. All right, Christian or Hellspawn, you want to do some shoutouts? We can wrap this puppy up.
Yeah, sure. Tune in to DreamHack.tv 15th to 18th. We got more or less all esport there is. It's StarCraft with DreamHack Open. It's LCS and League of Legends. It's Dota 2. It's Heroes New Earth. It's Counter-Strike Go. It's Street Fighter 4. Also gonna have some World of Tanks, the European finals there. Also, the Swedish Championship is concluding, so we have FIFA and we have Counter-Strike and StarCraft and yeah, what more? It's like so
I
many
know,
tournaments.
exactly.
So
What-
just go into DreamHack.se and check it out.
Still
And
no
if you have
Infinite
the
Shock,
possibility
though.
to come there, I mean, Sweden is really nice at this moment, and DreamHack, the festival, is one of its kind. So if you have the possibility, come to Jönköping. That's all about the shoutouts, I guess. And thanks for
Alright.
having me on the show.
Awesome. No problem, man. Hopefully one day DreamHack will be on U.S. soil. That would be awesome.
Yeah, who knows? That would be cool.
Richard, you want to do some shout-outs?
Yeah,
oh, there
man.
you are. Oh, yeah.
I definitely got shout outs to do. I shit on Hellspawn a lot, like as the personality. So it's probably only fair that the actual guy behind that persona or whatever term we're using, does a lot of work, and I didn't realize how much. I was a little bit ignorant. So yeah, just he's done some great work at DreamHack. I now realize that. So obviously, apologies for things said in the
Yes,
past.
man.
This is the new
Is that
Richard
right?
Lewis, guys. We're seeing the new.
No, this is
new
climbing the ladder. This is what
2.0
happens on this
Richard
show.
Lewis.
No, here's the thing though. It's like I guess it's majorly hypocritical of me to be like, hey guys, I'm not an asshole all the time. It's just like one column, and then like I shit on like one guy for one thing. You know, like that makes me a hypocritical asshole. So I don't want to be that guy. So you do a lot of good work, man. Like there's no doubt about it. Fuck Rakaka still, but you're all right. So.
Oh, God. My God. All right.
But anyway, like. No, it's just, I think it's been a good show, man. You've definitely brought a lot to the table. It's been fun discussing a lot of stuff. I'll be at DreamHack. I'll buy you a beer for the Fuck Rakaka thing. And, you know, if it's all the people who've never been to a DreamHack, definitely get there if you can. It is the best. It's the most fun event I go to. I go to all of them. You know, and yeah, it's just, it's so awesome. Like the crowd are really into it. The players are really accessible. It's real fun thing. They have probably the best casters and the best production value, which it's interesting to see that in person if you do watch it on the stream. So definitely check it out. Love to my co-hosts, especially John, who I know I thought he was going to be busy and had to run early, but he didn't. And Chris, as always, for putting on a great show.
All right, John, you're up.
Shout out to you guys. It was a good conversation day. I mean, it didn't really feel like almost 3 hours, but that was good. It was good. It was good stuff. And thanks again to, you know, I don't think we thank enough the people that tune in, because we have a lot of regulars for sure that continue to tune in, and they'll tune in late, you know, and ask what they missed, and people get engaged in this channel, which is great, you know, in the conversation, actually engaged, not just, you know, trolling people. So I think that's great too. And then since I do have a majority of StarCraft viewers watching now, I just wanted to mention that I did talk a couple weeks ago on the map show where we talked about map making, about opening up a team ladder in which we would use new maps at the contract I'm working at, which is Play IGL. And we were actually doing that. There are 17 teams signed up right now. We're just getting everyone to fill out their team rosters, and we're going to have an actual team ladder set up, and we're going to run some new maps on the team ladder, and let the community and let the teams kind of decide what sort of maps are needed in the space. So that's the only shout outs I have right now.
All right, my shout outs, of course, to the three of you guys, particularly our guest Hellspawn, who I will reiterate what Richard said, does amazing job with DreamHack. And I mean, Robert couldn't even tell all you guys. I mean, Christian is like the mind share, like of all, you know, just the brackets and everything. I mean, he's the guy that puts all the thoughts into everything, you know, regarding DreamHack that we love about it. So you know, he doesn't get enough credit for that, and you know, we should definitely appreciate that. So big thanks to you, Hellspawn, for that, and coming on the show and putting up with our discussion for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes. But I think it was some good, really good ones. Good stuff.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? So, of course, to you viewers, you know, of course, for watching the show. VODs are going to be up at youtube.com/ChanmanV. And I'll just say just a shout out to just all you guys that have been watching just the shows and the tournament this past Sunday. This whole week's been just so really great from a standpoint of me being, you know, just producing all these things. So you know, huge shout out for just all the kind words and even the very good feedback, and just for watching everything. So keep doing that. I'll keep doing this too. And you know, follow the channel if you like all this content, and follow us on Twitter at ChanmanV, at ES_John Clark, at Richard A_Lewis, and at Hellspawn. And next week, what do we got on board next week? I don't know if we have our show quite lined up for next week, so I'll have to fill you guys in during the week. But until then, I know.
Give you such a credits that you seem to always be so prepared, like, and
I know,
and everything. I mean, the good show is just a craziness to a big extent, and this is organized.
Is this organized? But the good show gets like 10x my viewers, man. So
yeah, but what I like with this show is that it's such a different tone. It's more like an I like it. I like this flavor.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you do.
You're welcome to come on anytime.
Yeah, exactly. Cheers. But anyways, for ChanmanV, John Clark, Richard Lewis, and Hellspawn, we will see you next week. See ya.
Peace.
Peace out.